Welcome. We are so glad that you're here to find out about the magic of Midsummer Night's Dream. For those of you who haven't met me, I'm Captain McKenna. I'm responsible for organizing the Kiwanis Festival here in Stratford. And we started this project last year with Anne and Green Gables. And about half the people coming today are veterans of Anne and Green Gables. So they've learned a lot about what we're trying to do with this project. For those of you who are new, this project is intended for people who are not professional singers. So that means complete beginners, and we have some of those in the room, I'm sure. It even means somebody who maybe has experience singing but hasn't done it for a living. They haven't earned their living getting paid to do this. So the purpose of this is to give a non-professional singer a chance to learn to sing with others. If you would like a chance to do a solo, we're going to give you that chance to do it as well. What we did last year with Anne of Green Gables, we didn't really know how many people we were going to get. And we wanted to give everybody a chance to do what they wanted to do. So we're going to start by just letting everybody hear the music, all the music in the show. We're not going to try to assign anything for quite a while yet, because last year, because we're all still dealing with COVID, we don't really know who's going to be healthy enough to do this concert come March 28th. So we have to figure out who can do what, and also who can cover for other people if somebody gets sick or has a family emergency, and we had all of that happen last year. So I have a couple of questions to start with before I turn it over to the people. I love calling them the dream team. We are so lucky with the professionals who have decided to help us put this show together. My first question is, who has never seen a production of A Midsummer Night's Dream? That's pretty good. More people have seen it than not seen it. That's good. How many people do not read music? Okay. How many people play the piano? Hey. How many people have ever heard of Christopher Norton? Ta-da! Ta-da! I tell you, we are so lucky to have these two artists sitting behind us. And they have written something that is absolutely magical, which you're going to hear in a little bit. I just want to tell you a few things about the show, especially for the people who were involved with us last year. On your handout, there's a list of the days that I have got places on hold for rehearsal. We are intending to use Sunday afternoons starting at 2 o'clock. Last year, Sunday was sort of 2 to 5, and we found that 3 hours was kind of long. So we're probably going to do sort of a 2 to 4 rehearsal time slot. We are using this space, Avondale Church and Community of Christ, which is a couple of blocks that way. And like this, it has a nice big parking lot. It's very easy to get at. A couple of things that are different from last year. We had to license a feed from New York, license the show from New York. They did not give us permission to tape anything, to record anything, or to put anything fun out on social media. Again, ta-da! I haven't even introduced them yet. You are welcome to record or videotape and share what we're doing in rehearsals. We also have permission that we didn't have last year to live stream this show. So if you have relatives and friends who aren't in Stratford who would like to see what you've been working on for a couple of months, we will be able to live stream, which is a good news thing. Last year, we were really lucky to discover that we had at least one artist in our cast who was a watercolor painter. And I encourage anybody who likes to draw or paint or anything like that. We used her watercolor paintings as background for the story of Anne of Green Gables, because in this church there's an overhead screen, and we used projections on the screen as our scenery, because basically we're doing a concert here. But we want to have a little bit of visual interest. So we used her paintings and a few other things to give our concert background. And I had other sketches that I used for promoting the show. I used it in the house program. So if anybody has a fondness for drawing or painting, please feel free to give me something that you've worked on, and I will find a way to use it to promote this lovely adventure that we're all starting. I was asked already what we're doing for costumes. This is primarily a concert. This is not a stage show. So you will be wearing your own clothing, but we're going to give you costume touches to help tell the story. Those are still being figured out. And two things that are completely pragmatic. Most of the information that you get from us is going to come from an email address that is info@KiwanisFestivalStratford.com. Most of you probably, I hope, got the email from that address about today. If you did not, please allow that email address into your inbox. If it goes into spam or social or junk, you won't know what's going on. So please allow info@KiwanisFestivalStratford.com. And the way you will get information about what we're going to do, like the schedule update, the contact sheet, rehearsal recordings, which you will have the use of during the holidays. We are creating a secret page on our website just for the people who are in the show. And that's where you will go to find the script, which we are still fine-tuning. You're not getting a script today because it's still a work in progress. The music, which you have a copy of for today. Those books that you picked up outside, by the way, we would like those back because that's not the absolute final version of what we're going to be doing. And any other useful information about this show as it evolves. So, I am really thrilled to introduce what I love to call the Dream Team. Headed up by, now some of these names are familiar to you from last year. The lady who is going to lead us through this magic exercise is Diana LeBlanc, who's sitting in the back there. She's going to stage this. For those of you who haven't seen this show, there's a lot that goes on in this play. And part of the challenge is figuring out how to make all those stories make sense and be accessible. Diana is our master storyteller who's going to lead us through that process. And she's going to come up here and take my place in a minute. Working with her is Barbara Dunprosser, who is unfortunately Barbara is our main voice and choral teacher. She's had a very bad accident which basically wrecked her left wrist. So she is a fragile person at the moment, more so than usual. Working with her in the voice department is Scott Baudin at the back. And you've already given him a couple of rounds of applause, but I would like to introduce two Nortons to you. Christopher Norton and his writing partner and partner in life, Wendy Edwards Beardall Norton. This play was, their version of it was originally about half an hour long. And because we asked them, and they have been more than willing to work with us, we have expanded it to something that's going to be closer to an hour, maybe 50 minutes. It's still a work in progress. And I'm going to turn the reins of this conversation over to Diana, who's going to talk a little bit about what this is. I'll come up. You have to beat your way through the crowd here.
So, why don't I start by just giving you the names of the characters? Yes? They are odd names and odd pronunciations. They're kind of Greek as a beacon. Where we them now. Where as we go along. We have. You have it there, don't you? Mm-hmm. Okay. Then I'll tell you, since you have it. Thank you. Yes, these, okay. We have three components in this play. There are three groups of people who magically come together because of a wedding. What better reason? And it's a complicated plot. Don't worry about it. It will all be, when you hear the music, it will all become clear. As clear as a dream, anyway. So we have the court. We have a group of people called the mechanicals. Now, they won't fix your car, but they're called the mechanicals. I've never heard that term used otherwise. Have you, Rod? Except for this particular in medicine.
Yeah, but not commonly.
Not commonly, no.
There's a comment back here from Mendelssohn.
Oh, just in emergency medicine, like a mechanical obstruction of the gut.
Oh, in medicine.
Really?
Oh.
Mechanical obstruction of the gut.
If there's something actually there obstructing, like if a child swallowed.
Oh, that's really interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the other group, so we have the mechanicals, we have a group, they're the spirit world. You will hear them referred to as sprites, as fairies, and as spirits. We're talking about the same group of people. And the story is that in the court, the king, the Duke is Theseus, he's about to marry Hippolyta. There are some nobles in the court also. They are two young women, Hermia and Helena, who are best friends. And Hermia's father, Aegeus. The conflict in there is that both Lysander and Demetrius are in love with Hermia, which is somewhat inconvenient because meanwhile Helena, the best friend, is in love with Demetrius, who doesn't want anything to do.
So confusing.
So that's good.
It's so confusing.
Yeah, already. We've only had one group. The second group is the mechanicals. We have a tailor, a joiner. Anybody know what a joiner is? It's related to carpentry. You put the pieces of wood together, I believe, so that the carpenter can then build the thing. We have, and they have wonderful names. We have Nick Bottom, who is a weaver. We have Starveling and Snout, who are a tailor and a joiner. Do you know what a tinker is? You've heard the word tinker. Yes, Jonah?
I think what in, well, at least in modern times, it's someone who creates things, builds things a lot of times made out of metal. And now it means build machines too, but in those days it would have just been, I guess.
That's absolutely right. The tinker is the person who would go along the street humbly, ringing a bell, and then come in and fix your pots and pans and whatever. We have Francis Flute. He's a bellows mender. Do you know what bellows are? Any of you have fireplaces? Yes. Yes, Jonah.
Blacksmith forge, like a forge in a blacksmith shop, I think are called the bellows sometimes.
Yes, and you know that instrument? If any of you have a fireplace in your fireplace, it's sort of it's hollow, and you fill it with air, and you push it together, and it makes the flames go. Like when you blow on a fire.
Oh, that's how it works.
Yeah. So that's a bellows maker. We have a weaver. Yeah. So these folks, along with the mechanicals, they are also the local amateur theater group.
Sorry to interrupt, Diana, but a mechanical is, now that you've heard all their jobs, a mechanical is a manual laborer.
Oh, okay. So the mechanicals, the manual laborers, that's our second group.
And you know what? They are the original non-professionals like you all are, because they have jobs, the ones that Diana just described, but they also like to sing and act like you're going to do. So they are the original amateur performing company.
And indeed, we expect a mechanical performance from this group.
Can I go on?
Yes.
The third group is the fairies, the sprites, the spirit world. Now, the spirit world is an imaginary world, but there are many popular beliefs in them. And this is Shakespeare the poet at his most poetic. He creates a rather extraordinary world. And it's because of this world and the fact that in the world of the court there's a marriage happening, that everything's going to happen. So in the spirit world we have Oberon, he's the king of the fairies. We have Titania, she's the queen of the fairies. We have Puck. He is Oberon's special, I don't know if the word is servant, but he's a special spirit helper.
Right hand?
Hmm?
Right hand man?
Right hand man. That's right. And then we have peas, blossom, cobweb, moth, and mustard seed, who are Titania's fairies. They protect her. So into this mess, we have to, so are magic, and I think you should listen to music now. You've asked me, Pat, to sort of say something about each song as it comes along.
So what we're doing today, because this script is still being developed, so we're not going to hand you out the words because those are still being worked on. What we're going to do is sing through the songs in the order that they appear in the show. And what I asked Diana to do is give you a little bit of what happens in between the songs, so you can see why we're singing this song and then what happens before we go to the next one.
And certainly just at any rate tell you who's singing.
Yeah.
And the reason why they are singing, as in a well-written song, appears in the song.
Will there be spoken dialogue in this one?
Yes, there is.
Oh, yes.
But what the experts in the room are doing is taking a show that can be, what's the runtime on this, Rod? 2.5 hours for a typical play?
Sure.
Okay, well, it's 3 acts long. We're not going to do a 2.5 hour marathon. We're reducing it to about 50 minutes. So the experts in the room, one of whom just spoke, are choosing what part of the script we're going to use. We did that with Anne last year too. We didn't say everything that was in Anne, we did parts of it. So that part is still being worked on. The songs are pretty much ready to go, so we want you to hear those melodies. The other thing that's happening is the more of the songs are having harmony added to them. How many people have sung in a choir?
Yeah, let's do it.
And how many of you have done harmony parts? That's good. So for those of you who haven't done this, we have 4 different 3 or 4 different lines. So that's a wonderful experience too, to learn how to sing a line that is special to you. And I think the one thing that's probably safe to say, Diana, the way we started Anne of Green Gables last year was you all came on stage and started singing. The way this script is working right now, there's sort of bookends. There's a prologue that begins and ends. Somebody speaks at the beginning and somebody at the very end.
Yes, one character that I did not name. So Phil Strait. Phil Strait is called the Master of the Revels. And he probably will start this, and he certainly has quite a lot to do at the end. Are you raising your hand, or is your daughter raising your hand for you?
She is raising my hand.
Do you have a question that you'd like Mama to ask?
Her best friend Lisa was in Green Gables last year.
Yeah.
She loved it.
Oh.
But she had to return to China. And Sophia was wondering if this year, is it similar in that the parts are, there's no set person for a set part, but it's a bit of a flow kind of state in terms of parts?
Well, we're going to discover this one as we go along.
Okay.
There are many parts in this one, and we'll see how that works out best. You want to make sure you have something to do, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You'll have something to do.
Yeah, we can promise anybody who wants something to do will get something to do. We just don't know quite how we're going to do it yet.
Ready?
Yeah.
So Chris has a great idea. We're going to start with the chorus of the first song, "Oh Gather Ye Lads." So if you want to turn to where it looks like it says, "With a hey nonny nonny and a hey nonny no, just follow along as you might, to a tale that is woven of love's gone astray and a dream on a midsummer's night." So I think what
So
might be
this is in the book that you've got. It's song number 1. You're looking for song number 1.
Gather ye lads.
Yeah.
Probably sung by, well, we don't know at the moment. It's a prologue. It might be from.
So we're going to start with the chorus and then we'll go back and do the verse, okay?
Yes.
So Chris, I think we should just play through the chorus once, then we'll all sing it, okay? Okay, are you ready? 1 and 2.
And a hey, nonny, no.
lovers in this, and it's a very tangled relationship. So this song is done twice.
And it gets even more complicated.
Yeah, we're going to sort it out together. There's 4 young lovers, and it's very confusing. We're going to sort it out together.
His dad, and he has the Duke on his side also. So, yeah, the 2 course of love does not run smoothly.
We'll have to make a flow chart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so here we go.
Before you go on, there's 2 versions of song number 2,
Yeah, we should
sung by different
versions,
people.
the words are different.
And
Yes, I have that second one here.
And there's a little bit of stuff that happens between the first time you hear that song, the 4 lovers, there's stuff, I won't try to explain it. And then the second time you do the song, somebody else is singing it because something else has changed. So that's why it's in your book twice. There's part 1 and part 2.
And the tune's different as well.
So let's do part 2, please.
Sorry, I don't. Okay, so now we get to the third song.
Pyramus and Thisbe. This is the play they are rehearsing and want to present. And Quince, who's directing, is allocating the parts. And as happens often with actors, they don't necessarily want the part they are given. And there's sometimes one actor or actress who feels they can play many parts. This is what we have now.
Hey, Chris, we're on. Good.
You will play the part of Thisbe at night, the lady that Pyramus woos. Not me, my whiskers are long and scratchy, and woman if you should so choose. Pyramus will be
I'm working on getting the author.
Oh.
Better refer to any of my letters.
Okay, the next song is Over Hill, Over Dale. So this is into the fairy world.
Diana, do you want to get us into this one? This is the fairy starts this one, the fairy who comes in with puck.
Now we're in fairy world. And as last year, you will see when it is sung how important it is to articulate. These songs are not just a repetition of what we heard, they actually advance the plot and tell the story. So, tell the story.
Over Hill, Over Dale.
He has to have this paid for. So he sends Puck off to get this flower to put on Titania's eyes so that when she wakes up, whatever she sees, she will be madly in love.
And it doesn't go well.
Spoiler alert!
Stop following me, Helena. I do not love you.
I can't resist you, Demetrius. Don't ask me to leave.
Have I led you on in any way? Go away.
You're only making me love you more.
You make me sick.
You make me sick with love.
Does it seem
when you awake.
It's very confusing.
It will all be made clear.
We'll get the flow chart that Scott suggested.
We're gonna
That'll
get a
help,
flow chart.
So Puck goes to the forest looking for, he's just been told, you'll recognize him. He's wearing Athenian clothes. He doesn't know what the heck.
So he puts the love potion on the wrong Athenian's eyes, which means that Lysander doesn't love Victoria anymore.
No.
Right? Anyway, this is Puck.
Okay, you're on song 9, right?
So this is Helena singing when, well,
So this is It Must Have Been a Dream. It must have been a dream, whatever in the night. Demetrius lost Helena, and Rhodes turned to ground.
now we're back at the palace. Theseus and Hippolyta come on, Hermia and Lysander, Helena and Demetrius, and our master of revels, Philostrate. Philostrate then tells the story of Pyramus and Thisbe, which is mined like mechanicals.
In our version. In our show, it's mimed.
Yeah,
In the original, they actually do it, but this is the way we're handling it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And at the end of the story and the mine, Philostrate asks the Lord Duke if he can now show the end of the story. And the end of the story is indeed tragic. Because, well, you sort of say it in the song, don't you? Yeah, so let's hear the song. It's called Sweet Moon, and Pyramus sings it. Sweet moon, I thank thee for thy sunny beams. I thank thee, Lord, for shining us so bright. For thy gracious golden glittering gleams, I trust to take them through as this beside. Blessed day, and sees Pyramus dead. And she sings, "Asleep, my love." She doesn't know he's dead just now. Asleep, my love, what day my love, oh, Pyramus, arise. Speak, speak, quite young, dead, dead, not soon, of stubborn eyes, sweet eyes. These my lips, this cherry nose, these yellow cowslip cheeks. Our God, my words may form, his eyes will green as leaves. Come not a word, come trusty sword, come lay my breast in you. Stabs herself. My friends, must this be end? Adieu, adieu, adieu. She dies. Every elf and fairy sprite, always light from bird to cry. And it's duty after me, sing and dance it trippingly. And it's duty after me, sing and dance it trippingly. Dance. Says, if we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended, that you have but slumbered here, while these visions did appear. Ah, but what fools these mortals be. Everybody sings. This is the 11 o'clock number.
The finale.
So come now, ye lasses, and cheer for the magical end of this play. With lovers united and peace now restored, and confusion seems so far away. 'Twas a tale of was complex and twisted and broad, and destined to end in dismay. But peace is adored with constantly hope, its wonderful end to this play. And a hey, nonny, nonny, and a hey, nonny, no. There are weddings and no female brides, but always remember that things can go wrong between all of these summer's night. Hey, nonny, nonny, and a hey, nonny, no. You'll follow as long as you might, to a tale that is woven of love's gonna stay, and a dream of this summer's
Questions, and I actually made one major omission in introducing you to the dream team. Another critically important person to this production is our music director, who is very busy at home in Alberta putting a show of Mary Poppins on its feet. So he's not with us yet. He's going to come later. Yes.
Is he Dr. Sire?
He is Dr. Sire, and he's going to. I actually thought I might be able to do a Wizard of Oz thing and have him on Zoom, but I didn't quite get myself organized. So you have that coming.
Do you know Dr. Sire? Really?
You've
before?
Perhaps you could see what the children do.
When I'm Zoom with him.
You did, eh? Wonderful, isn't he?
Yeah, he adjudicated last
No,
year.
he'll be here.
He's joining us in the new year. So the plan is, we're doing one more of these, so we can introduce this music to more people. You are now our ambassadors. You know more about this than most of the people in Stratford. So if you would please go and talk this up to your friends and your family. This is something that works really well for families. We would love to have, as you can see, adults and young people in this cast. We're doing it the same thing next week at Community of Christ, which is our other rehearsal venue. And we are going to ask you to give that music back because I know there are already some corrections I have to make in it. Does anybody have questions about the show or what we're planning to do? Everything makes perfect sense. You're better than we are. We're still trying to make perfect sense of it.
Lysander, Demetrius, no
Yeah,
questions.
no problem. That makes sense. Yes, Jonah.
So what part of the show was a dream again? Because talk at the end said that it was a dream that you all had when you slumbered.
Well, in the page that I gave you, and I can actually, this will be on the website so you can look at it digitally and you'll be able to get a copy of it, Jonah. It's probably fair to say that the characters in this play are, some of them are mortals who live in the real world like the rest of us, and some of them are fairies.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the supernatural world, and the stories kind of overlap. And one of the things that, because I put my hand up when I said I'd never seen this show before, I have a lot to learn too. What I have learned is that, let's say 350 years ago, when this play was written, a lot of things were explained. People explained things that they didn't understand any other way by blaming it on fairies. And the fairies were very real people to them in their world. And the fairies were responsible for a lot more things than we in our scientifically correct and up-to-date world understand now. So that's part of what we have to sort out, Jonah, is when we're in a supernatural world and when we're in the real world. And the sheet that I gave you tells you which of these characters are humans, like us, and who the fairies are.
Except they're nobles.
The nobles, okay. And who the supernatural people are. And part of what we're going to do in telling this story is sort that out together. And I'm sure that many of you have figured out the foursome of the quartet of lovers already. I still don't get it. You're going to have to help me understand it. Any other questions? Did I answer your question, Jonah, about supernatural and dreams?
Well, no, I was asking him because Puck said about that as all you had this vision while you slumbered. So did Demetrius did Lysander never fall in love with Helena? Like.
I'm going to defer. There are two experts behind you.
Yes, Demetrius eventually falls in love with Helena.
They fall in love with the right people.
And the two couples that are supposed to be together are Hermia gets Lysander, and because that's who she really loves, and Helena, Demetrius falls in love with Helena.
But the lovers are real people, and Puck is a fairy.
Yeah.
So there's a little help from the fairy world to put that right.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of a dream when the fairies come into it. It's probably a good way of putting it.
And the other thing I should say is this, we've seen two productions of this musical done by, I think, between 9 and 11-year-olds. That was the age range, and they made good sense, got laughs, and the drama was clear as well. So it suddenly becomes clear to the audience when it's on stage in a funny kind of way, all this complexity. But yeah, we really enjoyed seeing this done originally in the shorter version with little performers. So it can be done, and you look like a more mature bunch than that was.
So despite the fact that Thisbe and Firmus both die, this is a comedy. It is a comedy. Let me reassure you, this is a comedy, and we're going to find the comedy in it. Diana has a lovely anecdote about Firmus, who dies in a production that you saw.
I went saw it in Hyde Park in Toronto. And for those of you who happen to know the actor, Robert Persichini, happens to be one of my favorites. When he stabbed himself.
This is Pyramus, when Pyramus was
stabbed
stabbing
himself. He's a great big man. Kept stabbing his head. It was just very funny.
and he didn't die. He kept stabbing himself on the
because he's an actor. I mean, when you come and see Lear or Othello or Hamlet, those actors don't die either.
Well, it's probably safe to say that this play within a play, how good are these actors, these mechanicals?
Well, we'll see.
Right? So I'll leave that thought with you. Enoch, you have a question? Did you have your hand up?
What did he stab himself with?
He happens to carry a knife.
But it
it wouldn't really.
It's a prop knife. It's a prop knife.
It would be a prop.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, what could you stab yourself with that wouldn't hurt you?
And actors in theater, they're retractable knives. So when you stab yourself, to the audience, it looks like you're putting the blade through your heart.
Yeah.
But the blade is going into the handle. Pretty neat.
It's like a toilet paper roll.
It's an interesting way of saying.
Oh, yes, Olivia.
When I did a production of a Midsummer Night's Dream, after the guy killed himself, and the plays had to play after the guy killed himself.
Yeah.
When the girl was gonna kill himself, when he had the knife, he just kind of went like, and pulled the knife up even though he was supposed to be dead.
Well, sure.
There are all kinds of things that we can do, you
There's
know.
lots of stuff we can do with that.
And those are all, that's the fun we're gonna have with this, to find it. We're gonna have to find the
Nice to see you again, Olivia.
You're gonna help us find it.
And just to be clear too, I know Pat said at the beginning that it's a concert version, but there will be some staging. It's not,
Oh, yes,
it's not just we're not standing there.
Oh, and
there'll be
thank you.
movement.
Thank you. That's one very important thing to know about the schedule. We're going to use Sunday afternoons starting at 2, either in this place or Community of Christ. But the extra, besides the Sunday afternoons, we're going to ask you if you would please set aside 3 days during the March break, because Diana needs to work with everybody to figure out how this is going to look on stage. We
And
can
that's
do
also
some,
when Jamie is here.
and that Jamie's coming too for that. So we can do a lot. We're going to start with learning the music first. We're not going to worry about the words until we all figure out what the words are. So we're going to learn the music first when we start rehearsals, but it's very important if you're going to do this to please give us those 3 days. It's the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday during March break, because we would like to have a daytime rehearsal with everybody here. And there are some people who are still working. We learned that last year, so there might be one evening to accommodate the adults who have jobs. We might do one evening so we can get everybody, or as many people as we can get in an evening.
So what's the next step for us? What do we do?
So if you want to do this, we'll ask you to register.
Register?
Yes, and Deb is out there with the computer to show you how to do that.
Oh.
And with those people who register, we're going to equip you with a script and music and recordings to listen to during the holidays. We're not doing anything to compete with Christmas. Between December 15th and January 15th, nothing to do with the show. Go and have a holiday with your family and your friends. And we will start rehearsals at the end of January. I'm not entirely sure which Sunday yet. It sort of depends how many people we get. So if you would like to do this, we'll give you stuff to do some homework over the holidays, so you can be that much more ready when you start at the end of January. And if you have any questions, please send them to info@, and I'm happy to answer them. Deb and I will answer them together.
So the schedule just says January 12th, is
I started that because I wanted to make sure I had both venues.
Okay.
We may not start on the 12th, it depends how many people we get. I mean, I have the place on hold if we need it. If we start a week later, that means you get that much longer for holidays. Everybody good?
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming. Please go out and tell everybody what fun this is. We'd like to have more people join us. And if you want to do this again, join us next week at Community of Christ at 2 o'clock. We're doing the same thing. Please give your music back to Deb.
Oh,